Srivasadi Gauravata. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5. Canto 5, the Creative Impetus, Chapter 1, Text 3. Mahatam Khalu Viprashe.
Mahatam Kalu Viprashe.
Uttama Shloka Padyayo.
Uttama Shloka Padayo.
Chaya Nirvrita Chittanam.
Chaya Nirvita Chittanam.
Na Kutumbe Sprahamatihi.
Na Kutumbe Sprihamatihi.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Elevated Mahatmas who have taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are fully satiated by the shade of those lotus feet. Their consciousness cannot possibly become attached to family members. So, Parikshit Maharaj was asking that, was it Parikshit Maharaj or was it Vidur? He's asking that how come Priyavrata is taken to family life? He is a great pure devotee. So then how come he's taken to family life? So we are gonna understand how Priyavrata Maharaj, even though he enters family life, his consciousness is pure. He's a pure devotee of the Lord. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Shushitala, Ye Chaya Jagat Jodar. He describes the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda as being so nice and cooling that all materialists who are always blazing, who are always in the blazing fire of material activities, may come under the shade of his lotus feet and be fully relieved and satiated. We don't understand it, or we may not understand it, but this world is compared to a forest fire, a blazing forest fire, because we are being burnt at every moment by the material miseries. And here, Prabhupada is quoting Narottam Das Thakur, his Vachan, Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Shushitana, that the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, the shade of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda is so cooling, like millions and millions of moons. Moonlight is very cooling. One moon feels so nice when we see a full moon night. So millions of moons would be so nice and cooling, like a nice shade. So Lord Nityananda's feet, Narottam Das Thakur is saying, is like that, like a cooling shade, umbrella, which is shading us from this material miseries. So one who takes shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda can feel relieved and satisfied from this burning of material world. The distinction between family life and spiritual life can be experienced by any person who has undergone the tribulations of living with a family. One who comes under the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord never becomes attracted by the activities of family life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 259, Param Drishtva Nivartate, one gives up lower engagements when he experiences a higher taste. Thus, one becomes detached from family life as soon as he comes under the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So those of us who are in the family life, how can we understand him? We don't artificially renounce, but we do our duty to our family as service to Krishna, understanding our family members are also parts and parcels of Krishna. So, doing whatever is our duty, our social responsibility for the satisfaction of Krishna. And in this way, one can experience a higher taste. This is the meaning of getting detached from family life, understanding that our family members are also parts and parcels of Krishna. So serving them in that mood, serving the family in that mood, that is real detachment. Samshayo yam mahan brahman.
Samshayo ayam mahan Brahman.
Dara gara sutadishu.
Dara gara sutadishu.
Saktasya satsidir abhut.
Saktasya yatsidir abhut.
Krishne cha matir achyuta.
Krishne cha matir achyuta.
Please just give me a moment. I'll be back here. Just 1 minute. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare. Thank you. The king continued, O great Brahmana, this is my great doubt. How was it possible for a person like King Priyavrata, who was so attached to wife, children, and home, to achieve the topmost infallible perfection in Krishna consciousness? So Parikshit Maharaj is putting this question to Sukadev Goswami. King Parikshit wondered how a person so attached to wife, children, and home could become so perfectly Krishna conscious. Prahlad Maharaj has said, Matirna Krishna paratasvato va mitho bhipadyeta grahavritanam. A grahavrat, one who has taken a vow to execute family duties, has no chance to become Krishna conscious. This is because most grihavratas are guided by sense gratification and therefore gradually glide down to the darkest regions of material existence. Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamisram. How can they possibly become perfect in Krishna consciousness? Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadev Goswami to resolve this great doubt. How can one still remain a devotee? Shishukovacha.
Shish
Sukha.
Okay, let's try.
Hmm.
Badam Uktam Bhagavata Uttama Shlokasya Shrimak Charanaravinda.
Padam Uktam Bhagavat Uttama Shlokasya Srimad Charana Vrinda.
Makaranda Rasa Avisheta Chetaso Bhagavata Paramhamsa Daita.
Makaranda Rasa Avishita Chetaso Bhagavat Paramahamsa Daita.
Katham Kinchid Antaraya Vihitam Swam Shivat Shivatam, thank you. Shivatamam Padavimna.
Katham Kinchit Antaraya Vihatam Swam Shivatamam Padavimna.
Prayena Hinvanti.
Prayena Hinvanti.
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, what you have said is correct. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised in eloquent, transcendental verses by such exalted personalities as Brahma, are very pleasing to great devotees and liberated persons. One who is attached to the nectarian honey of the Lord's lotus feet and whose mind is always absorbed in his glories may sometimes be checked by some impediment, but he still never gives up the exalted position he has acquired. Sri Sukadev Goswami accepted both of the king's propositions, that a person who is advanced in Krishna consciousness cannot embrace materialistic life again, and that one who has embraced materialistic life cannot take up Krishna consciousness at any stage of his existence. Although accepting both these statements, Sukadev Goswami qualified them by saying that a person who has once absorbed his mind in the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead may sometimes be influenced by impediments, but he still does not give up his exalted devotional position. So the consciousness, because the consciousness is already purified, so anything he's doing for the pleasure of Krishna. Even if he's taking care of family or kingdom or, doing his kingly responsibilities, it's all for the pleasure of Krishna. Understanding this, the world belongs to Krishna, everyone belongs to Krishna. It's a service given to him. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there are two kinds of impediments to devotional service. The first is an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. This is called Vaishnava Aparadha. So, offending a devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned his devotees not to commit Vaishnava Aparadha, which he described as the mad elephant offense. So, this is the first offense to the holy name. There are 10 offenses to the holy name. This is the first offense, mad elephant. And why is it called mad elephant? Offending a Vaishnava. Because when a mad elephant enters a beautiful garden, it destroys everything, leaving a barren field. Similarly, the power of Vaishnava Aparadha is so great that even an advanced devotee becomes almost devoid of his spiritual essence if he commits it. So, when one offends a devotee, what happens is one's progress in spiritual life gets checked. Just like an elephant, he's entering the garden and he uproots the plants and he creates a havoc. He destroys the garden. Similarly, Vaishnava Aparadha, it destroys a kind of our bhakti lata, the devotional creeper. It stunts the growth, or it may, depending on what kind of offense it is, it may hamper our growth or it may completely uproot it, depending again what's the situation. So since Krishna consciousness is eternal, it cannot be destroyed altogether, but advancement may be checked for the time being. Thus, Vaishnava Aparadha is one kind of impediment to devotional service. So Krishna consciousness, that's our position. Every soul is Krishna conscious. So Krishna consciousness is eternal because it's the quality of the soul. That's the pure consciousness of a pure soul. So it cannot be completely destroyed because we are eternal. So Krishna consciousness is eternal. That's the original consciousness. But with Vaishnava Aparadha, what happens is our spiritual advancement gets stopped or gets stunted or hampered or not so smooth, depending again on what is the offense, to what degree it has been committed. Sometimes, however, the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee desires to impede one's devotional service. For example, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were formerly Jaya and Vijaya, the gatekeepers in Vaikuntha. But by the desire of the Lord, they became his enemies for 3 lives. Thus, the desire of the Lord is another kind of impediment. But in both cases, the pure devotee, once advanced in Krishna consciousness, cannot be lost. So Prabhupada is trying to explain to us that sometimes the Lord may desire. We can see Jai, Vijay, they are eternal associates of Krishna. So the Krishna consciousness is never lost. It's another thing that Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, he desired to fight. So Jai Vijay came as this, 3 times they came as the demons to fight with the Lord. So apparently it may seem that their Krishna consciousness is hampered. But if we see the eternal position, and they're associates of the Lord, personal associates, they're Jai Vijay. They're playing a drama. Just like, actor goes on stage. And so he's an actor and sometimes he's playing the role of a villain. It doesn't mean he's actually become the villain. It's for the drama that he's playing that. And once the drama is finished, then he's back to his own normal self now. So following the orders of his superiors, Swayambhuva and Lord Brahma, Priyavrata, accepted family life. But this does not mean he lost his position in devotional service. Krishna consciousness is perfect and eternal, and therefore it cannot be lost under any circumstances. Because the material world is full of obstructions to advancement in Krishna consciousness, there may appear to be many impediments, yet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, declares in Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kaunteya pratijanihi na me bhakta pranashyati. Once one has taken shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, he cannot be lost. So Krishna is so kind that anyone who once approaches him, once he takes shelter of him, Krishna guarantees full protection. Krishna says that just surrender unto me and I shall deliver you. Don't fear. And he's saying, Kaunteya pratijanihi na me bhakta pranashyante, that my devotee never is never lost, you know. Krishna is telling Arjuna, you declare. So taking shelter of Krishna, we can see it's our permanent situation. Actually, it's our permanent position, our original position. It's just now we have gotten lost. Now we have gotten rebellious, forgotten our relationship with Krishna. But our original position is we have this loving relationship with Krishna. And this loving relationship with Krishna can never ever be lost. Never. So here it's very nice that Sukadev Goswami is saying that once one has heard the glories of God, once one has heard the glories of Krishna, then he gets attached to hearing them because there's so much nectar, there's so much happiness in hearing the glories of God and hearing the glories of Krishna, that one wants to continue to do it because one is feeling the highest pleasure. And so we cannot even imagine how much pleasure the pure devotees are experiencing. You know how they say that to taste the honey, you have to open the jar of honey and to actually taste it, like the taste of the pudding is in eating it. So we are hearing about the glories of that, how pleasing it is to take shelter of lotus feet of God. So how can we experience it? We have to do it. And then if we are able to do it, then we will also be able to relish such pleasure. So reading on, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there are two kinds of impediments. In this verse, the word Shivatma is very significant. Shivatma means the most auspicious. The devotional path is so auspicious that a devotee cannot be lost under any circumstances. This is described in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita by the Lord himself. Partha naiveha namutra vinashas tasya vidyate. My dear Arjuna, for a devotee there is no question of being lost, either in this life or in the next. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 40. So devotional service is eternal. Just as the soul is eternal, so the activity of the soul is also eternal. And the activity of the soul is devotional service. So once one takes up devotional service, then that can never be lost. How much ever advancement one makes in one life, in spiritual life, in the next life, one begins from that point. It's never lost. Our material knowledge is lost. Our material qualifications or our material possessions are lost when we give up this life, this body, but never for devotional service. because it's eternal activity of the soul. In Bhagavad Gita 6:43, the Lord clearly explains how this is so. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labhate porva dehikam yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana. By the order of the Lord, a perfect devotee sometimes comes to this material world like an ordinary human being. Because of his previous practice, such a perfect devotee naturally becomes attached to devotional service, apparently without cause. Despite all kinds of impediments due to surrounding circumstances, he automatically perseveres in devotional service and gradually advances until he once again becomes perfect. So Krishna sometimes sends his pure devotees. Many times he sends his pure devotees to this world. Why? For our sake, to teach us, to give us this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna comes himself, he sends his incarnations, or he sends his pure devotees. Bilvamangal Thakur had been an advanced devotee in his previous life, but in his next life, he became greatly fallen and was attached to a prostitute. Suddenly, however, his entire behavior was changed by the words of the very prostitute who had so much attracted him, and he became a great devotee. So Bilva Mangal Thakur is a great devotee of the Lord. And he was so attached to this prostitute, her name was Chintamani, that even the night when his father died, he wanted to meet her every night. And even the night his father died, he went to meet her. It was a very rainy night. It was terrible circumstances, but he didn't consider anything. He crossed the river. The river was overflowing, crossed the river with the help of the dead body. He thought it was a boat, but it was so much desire to meet this girl, Chintamani. He climbed up thinking it's a rope, but it was a snake. And then Chintamani told him, "What are you doing? Even tonight you have come. Your father just passed away. If you had so much attraction for Krishna, your life would have been perfect. That is as much attraction you have for me." And these words, it struck him. It reminded him of his previous devotional service because he was a devotee from his previous life. He was an advanced devotee. And when Chintamani told him these words, it reminded him. He was like, yes, yeah, I should, the same kind of attachment that I have, I should have it for Krishna. And his behavior changed. He left home, he became a great devotee. Krishna was coming to see him. Krishna would talk to him. So in the lives of exalted devotees, there are many such instances proving that once one has taken to the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, it cannot be lost. Kaunteya pratijanihi na me bhakta pranashyati. So anyone who takes shelter of the Lord gives protection. So of course, we can't, Prabhupada is pointing here the exalted devotee, because they will not misuse the shelter of the Lord. The neophyte devotees may misuse, I've taken shelter of the Lord, so I can do anything. No, but then that's an offense to the holy name, that committing sinful acts on the strength of the holy name. So not in that way. But the idea is once one has taken the shelter truly of the Lord, Krishna never forgets him. The fact is, however, that one becomes a devotee when he is completely freed from all reactions to sinful life. As Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita 7:28, Yesham tva antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam tedvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridvrata. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, and who are freed from the duality of illusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. So this is the point of nishtha, with dridvrata, determination. There is a nishtha is there. They have that firm faith, completely engaging themselves in hearing and chanting. Free from illusion means understood. I am a spirit soul. I have a loving relationship with Krishna. Let me try to revive this relationship. And how does one comes to this point? Who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life. So this kind of piety is the sukriti, devotional piety, spiritual piety, not material piety, and who has given up sinful activity. So the devotees were asking Prabhupada, "Oh Prabhupada, so we must have done pious activity in our previous life, that we have taken shelter of Krishna. We are engaging in devotional service." Prabhupada said, "I am creating your pious activity. Because it's the devotee who gives us this sukriti. It's by the mercy of Prabhupada that we are having this opportunity to hear, chant, to do some service. It's the devotee who gives us this opportunity."
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I have a question. Like,
Yes,
how
please.
will Mangala, he was a pious devotee in his previous life, then how did he fall down and got very attracted to the prostitute?
So
Like
he
they
was a
say,
pure
right? When
devotee.
it's a previous, yeah, and then
Yeah,
it doesn't
pure
fall, right?
devotee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it doesn't fall. How is it that he got then into this?
So many times, so how we understand it is the Lord, like how if the mother-in-law wants to teach the daughter-in-law some lesson, she will tell her daughter, do like this, do like this, do like this. Because she knows the daughter will listen to her, will not feel bad. And in this way, the daughter-in-law will learn. So Krishna, to teach us, conditioned souls, he engages his pure devotees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whatever we are hearing in Bhagavatam, because sometimes we will wonder, oh, how come Indra is acting like this, But we have
Yes.
to understand, so we have to understand, no, Indra is acting as an instrument in hands of Krishna to give, to make, for us to learn this lesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Shilpa ji. There's this
Hare
story
Krishna.
also of Vilbha
Yeah.
Mangal Thakur, that in the
Yeah.
previous life he was a very, very exalted Brahmin, and
Yeah.
he would just occupy all his time in serving Krishna and doing big, like the food. He would arrange food for people, but then after some time there was some shortage of money, so he didn't know now what to do, because he would do the Bhagavad Kathas and he would serve the food and everything was happening, but then suddenly there was no enough funds for doing that. And then he went for a dead body. He saw that there was a cremation of a princess, and then he saw that she was being decorated with a lot of jewelry and everything. So after everything was done, he went to the cremation center, and then he wanted to take away all the jewelry and everything, because now she wouldn't need it, and he thought that this money would be utilized and in a good cause. But then the princess came out and said that, don't use this. You do one thing, you go to my father and you ask for all the money, and my father will provide you with everything. You tell that she is told, the princess has said, and then you can do it. So he went, and then the the king gave everything. He said, okay, perfectly fine, and he gave. Now he utilized that money, also was all utilized. He needed more money, so he didn't know what to do. And then he went and he took that jewelry from that princess tomb, and then he was punished for that. The princess said that, I have already told you not to use it, and I asked you to take all the money from my father, and you still did it. So I curse you, or I don't remember the exact word what she said, but she said that because of all this what you are doing, in the next life, you will become so much attached to the women and everything that you will not be able to come out of it. So that was the story why Vilma
Why
Mangal
he
Thakur
became
was got this. Otherwise, he was a pure devotee, because
devotee,
whatever
yeah.
he did, it was only for Krishna, to spread the glories of Krishna. But just because of that small thing, it just happened like that. Yeah,
So then
thank you.
again, we
So
can try to understand. Thank you so much. Then again, we can try to understand that he's a pure devotee. So then why is he put in such a situation? Why
Yeah,
is he
because
forced
normally
to
it
put in
says,
such?
right? When what
Because
you have
see,
done, you never
yeah,
you
So
never use it, right? In your next
again,
life.
it comes to that principle, because yes, the story is very nice. Thank you. And that's the immediate cause. But then why does it happen? Because he's a pure devotee, then why is he forced to act in such a way? He shouldn't have been.
Right.
Because for us to understand that devotional service is never lost, Krishna always protects his devotees. To teach us various lessons, Krishna uses his pure devotees as instruments. Whatever he
Yeah.
wants to teach us, he wants to teach us devotional service is never lost. He wants to teach us don't get pride, like how Indra gets prideful. Whatever he wants to teach us, he engages his pure devotees as instruments to teach us.
The same way in the case of Jai Vijay, right? That's how
As
he
in the
said
case of Jai Vijay. Yes.
it
Yes.
became
That's right.
Hiranyaksha Kashyapa. Okay.
Yeah. So that's
It's all
like
by
the
his
principle.
will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So now with this story, then we can understand that yes, devotional service is never lost. What Krishna is saying, that my devotee never perishes. So, and even though there might be some kind of impediment, then one will again take up devotional service. So that holds true, that principle holds true from this pastime. Yeah.
Thank you.
We continue reading. On the other hand, as Prahlad Maharaj said, Matirna Krishna Paratasvato va mitho vipadyeta graha ritanam. A person who's too attached to materialistic family life, home, family, wife, children, and so on, cannot develop Krishna consciousness. Now, we may think, oh my God, so then now I need to give up the family. But no, what we need to understand, how we need to understand this, that we need to understand that it's everything belongs to Krishna. Our family life is also given to us by Krishna. Our home is given to us by Krishna. Let me serve them as a duty to Krishna, understanding everyone is Krishna's parts and parcels. So that becomes real renunciation then. Because if we artificially renounce, oh, this is material, that becomes artificial renunciation. Just today we were reading in Bhagavad Gita in the morning that that whatever duties we have been given, whatever occupational duty, whatever position we have been given by Krishna, we do it as a service to Krishna. Understanding that it's given to me by Krishna, let me do it for Krishna's pleasure. So these
Hare
apparent
Krishna.
contradictions are yes.
Yeah, I remember you telling so clearly about, if we are doing in, thinking of Krishna and in our mind, it's a karma. And when we don't, it becomes a bondage, it becomes a karma. So it was very beautiful. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. These apparent contradictions are resolved in the life of a devotee by the grace of the Supreme Lord, and therefore a devotee is never bereft of his position on the path of liberation, which is described in this verse as Shivatamam Padavin. So Krishna takes care. That's what we are trying to understand. That we take shelter of Krishna, and Krishna is there. He will take care of us. We may make accidental mistakes, just like we are hearing now, Bilva Mangal Thakur, he made a mistake. We are hearing that he made a mistake. He took the jewelry, which was not supposed to be taken. And so he in the next life, he got so attached to another woman. So of course, he's a pure devotee. He wouldn't have done it. But we are possible to do such things for us. But Krishna takes care. But not that we intentionally, then we try to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, then that is an offense. But if we make accidental mistakes, Krishna is there. We can't take advantage of Krishna, saying, oh, well, Krishna is there, let me do anything. Like someone may say, oh, I can do anything because I have a powerful father, so let me do wrong things. But no, not in that sense. But yes, out of genuine not knowing, we may commit so many times, so many errors because we really don't know. So Krishna is, he is the ultimate shelter.
Very long, huh?
Here yes. I'm sorry.
No, the
Did you
verses.
say so?
Yeah.
The verse, seems very big, huh? Let's try to read it. Yarhi Vava Raja Saraja Putra Priyavrata Parama Bhagavato.
Yari Vavaha Rajan Sarajaputra Priyavrata Parama Bhagavato.
Naradasya Charano Paseva Yanjasa Vagata Paramartha Sat Tatvo.
Naradasya Charano Paramartha Sattva.
Brahma Satrena Dikshishyamano Vani Tala Paripalanayam Nata.
Brahma Satrena Dikshishyamano Vanitala Paripalanayam Nata.
Pravara Guna Ganekanta Bhajanataya Swapitrupa Mantrito.
Pravara Guna Gunekanta Bhajanataya Swaputropa Mantrito.
Bhagavati Vasudeva Eva Yavadhana Samadhi Yogena Sama Visheta.
Bhagavati Vasudeva Eva Vyadhyadana Samadhi Yogena Samaveshita.
Sakala Karaka Kriya Kalapo Nevabhya Nandat Yadyapi Tad.
Sakala Karaka Kriya Kalapo Yadyapi Tad.
Apratyam Natavyam Tad Adhikarana Atmano Nyasmat Asatopi.
Apratyama Yamnatavyam Tad Adhikarana Atmano Anyasmad Asato Api.
Parabhavam Anivikshmanaha. Sukadev Goswami continued, my dear king, Prince Priyavrat was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narad, his spiritual master, and thus achieved the highest perfection in transcendental knowledge. With advanced knowledge, he always engaged in discussing spiritual subjects and did not divert his attention to anything else. The prince's father then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. He tried to convince Priyavrata that This was his duty as indicated in the revealed scriptures. Prince Priyavrata, however, was continuously practicing Bhakti Yoga by constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus engaging all his senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, although the order of his father could not be rejected, the prince did not welcome it. Thus, he very conscientiously raised the question of whether he might be diverted from devotional service by accepting the responsibility of ruling over the world. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Charya Vaishnava Seva Nistar Paye Chekeba. Without serving the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava or spiritual master, no one has ever attained perfect liberation from material bondage. So Prabhupada is quoting Narottam Das Thakur here, that if at all one wants liberation from the material world, one needs to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, of a pure devotee, serving the lotus feet of a pure devotee. So Prince Priyavrata regularly served the lotus feet of Narad, and thus the prince perfectly understood transcendental subjects and truth, satattvataha. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 34, Tatvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshayanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. He says that approach a tattvadarshi, one who's seen the truth. Try to understand the truth by you approach this pure devotee, you serve him, humbly put questions to him, and then he will show you the truth. So this is what Priyavrata is doing. He is serving Sri Narad Muni, and this is how he is getting this transcendental knowledge. He's understanding the truth. The word Satattvata means that Priyavrata knew all the facts about the spirit soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the relationship between the spirit soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he also knew all about this material world and the relationship of the spirit soul and the Supreme Lord within the material world. So, what are all the truths? Yeah. Knowing the individual soul, the spirit soul. Knowing about God. The relationship between the individual soul and God. So Priyavrata, he knows all this because he is serving Narad Muni. Narad Muni is his spiritual master. So he's understanding this transcendental knowledge, spiritual knowledge. He knows the soul, he knows God, he knows the relationship between the soul and God. He also is understanding this material world and the relationship of material world with the soul and God. Thus the prince decided to engage himself only in rendering service to the Lord. So because he has perfect knowledge, so because he understands, oh, the spirit soul, part and parcel of God, it's the duty of the spirit soul to serve God. So then he decided, it's my duty to serve God. So I'm going to do that. Service to God, that is devotional service. So that's what he has decided because he has perfectly understood the knowledge. When Priyavrata's father, Swayambhuva Manu, requested him to accept the responsibility of ruling over the world, he did not welcome the suggestion. This is the symptom of a great liberated devotee. Even though engaged in worldly affairs, he does not take pleasure in them, but remains always absorbed in the Lord's service. While thus serving the Lord, he deals externally with worldly affairs without being affected. So Swayambhuva Manu told Priyavrata, now I need to retire, now you take up the throne. And Priyavrata said, no, I want to continue engage in hearing and chanting the glories of Lord. So I don't want to take up the throne. Then now Prabhupada is explaining that how does a pure devotee, how does he deal with the external world? Then he's not he does not have any desire to enjoy the material world. He's always, everything he's doing is as a service to God. That's his consciousness. So he is doing his service. Externally, whatever needs to be done, he's doing it as service to God, without getting entangled in it, because he's completely understood what's the relationship of the material world, his relationship with God, material relationship of soul and God and material world. So he's perfectly understood. For example, although he has no attraction for his children, he cares for them and educates them to become devotees. Similarly, he speaks to his wife with affectionate words, but he's not attached to her. So doing the duty, whatever is needed to be done, understanding that everyone is a part and parcel of Krishna. This is real renunciation, not artificial renunciation that we say, okay, I'm going to give up. I don't care for anyone. That is artificial renunciation, and artificial renunciation makes the heart very hard. But we don't need to make our heart hard. What we need to do is, in fact, soften our heart with love of Krishna. When we get attached to Krishna, our heart will get soft and we will be able to deal with everyone in a proper, loving manner. So by rendering devotional service, a devotee acquires all the good qualities of the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna had 16,000 wives, all of them very beautiful. And although he dealt with each of them as a beloved husband, he was not attracted or attached to any of them. In the same way, although a devotee may enter family life and act very affectionately toward his wife and children, he's never attached to these activities. So the pure devotee, he's completely understood his position, his relationship with God. And whatever he's doing is a service to God. And he understands other living entities are also parts and parcels of God. So he deals with them in that way. So very affectionate to the family, because that's the duty, that's how it's supposed to be. This verse states that by serving the lotus feet of his spiritual master, Prince Priyavrata very soon attained the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. So serving the pure devotee, very powerful. Taking the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee, very powerful. Remnants of a pure devotee, very powerful. The water that has washed the feet of a pure devotee, very powerful. So this is the only way to advance in spiritual life, as stated in the Vedas. Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasyaite kathita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. If one has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master, the essence of all Vedic knowledge is revealed to him. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.23. So unflinching faith in Guru and God, both, in Guru and Krishna. So equal faith in both God and Guru, in Guru and Krishna. When one has that, then all the Vedic knowledge, whatever is there in the Vedas, one can able to realize that knowledge. One is able to understand this knowledge. It's revealed to him. Krishna is in our heart. He's the Paramatma. Krishna says, from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So Krishna reveals this knowledge. A devotee always thinks of the Lord continuously while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The words Krishna and Hare immediately remind him of all the Lord's activities. Since his entire life is engaged in the service of the Lord, a devotee cannot forget the Lord at any time. So whatever the pure devotee is doing, his mood is service to God, service to Krishna. So anything he's doing, it's in that consciousness. Just as an ordinary man always engages his mind in material activities, a devotee always engages his mind in spiritual activities. So outwardly, the activities may seem the same. We won't even come to know. But it's just the intention is different. One, the intention is how I can enjoy for myself. And for the devotee, the intention is How can I please God? How can I serve God? The activity could very well be the same outwardly, but just the consciousness is different. So the pure devotee, he always engages his mind in spiritual activities. How I can serve God, how I can please God. This is called Brahmasatra, or meditating upon the Supreme Lord always. Prince Priyavrat was perfectly initiated into this practice by Sri Narad. So Priyavrat, pure devotee, he's already Krishna conscious, he's already God conscious. Whatever he's doing is for the service of God, pleasure of God. And he attained this stage by the mercy of Narad Muni, because he served the lotus feet of his spiritual master. Did anyone want to add anything else? Comment anything else? So let's stop here today. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.